Welcome to the teaching. This is Brett Harrison speaking, and it is my purpose, the purpose of this teaching, to help you discover the truth. What this means exactly will become clear as we go along, but for now, just make yourself comfortable, close your eyes, and simply listen. There is no need right now for you to concern yourself about anything other than hearing these words, or if there is, then please tend to it immediately, so that when you return you can give your full attention to what we are doing here, because your attention is the key to discovering the truth. The way to receive the most out of this teaching, to maximize the potential in it, is to allow yourself at least 1 hour of uninterrupted time to absorb the information. As you listen, don't try to understand, remember, or analyze anything. If you do, you will miss what I'm saying, and therefore miss the point. If something doesn't make sense, please go back and listen to it again, and again if necessary, but don't try to understand it. Trying to understand or to work things out requires mental effort, and mental effort is not required here because the truth cannot be worked out. It can only ever be discovered, and this will happen for you naturally and effortlessly when the time is right. Be easy within yourself and simply allow the words to wash through you. So let's begin. This is a teaching about you. Not the you that you think you are or want to be, but the you that is truly you, the truth of what you are. Notice that I have said the truth of what you are and not who you are. This is a very important and fundamental distinction. What you are is the part of you that is most real and will respond to and resonate within as a knowing about what I am saying. Who you are, on the other hand, or more accurately, who you think you are, is the part of you that may want to resist or take a position against it. What I am about to say next will actually test you on what I have just said. Please listen very carefully and don't try to analyze it. You can never truly be who you are. To be yourself is not to be who you are, it is to be what you are. Let me explain. If you think that you can be who you are deceiving yourself, because to do so is only to live up to a self-image based upon the things that you do, think, and feel. Who you are is a unique expression of what you are, but in truth you can only ever be what you are, and then you appear as the who that you are in the world. The who that you think you are, or are trying to find or become, is not at all important really, and is in fact the root cause of all your problems. This will become more clear as we go along. To live a life as the truth of what you are is to live what I am going to call the spiritual life or spiritual way. And to live a life as who you think you are or want to be is to live what I am going to call the human way. It is necessary for me to make this distinction and to define these terms, because I will be using them often throughout this presentation. The spiritual life, in the way that I'm using the term, is not some strange mystical way of being, which unfortunately is still often the perception. It is not a life, for instance, lived in isolation up on some mountain top in silent meditation, or chanting mantras, or studying religious text in the hope of someday getting closer to God. This behavior that is so often associated with spirituality, and also the practice of many other so-called spiritual activities, may be of value in one's quest for self-knowledge, but it is not the reality of living the spiritual life. The spiritual life is simply a life lived in and as the truth of what you are, and it is what this teaching is all about. It is the life that you want really, because it is the only thing that will ever deliver to you the things that you most desire, without you having to continually struggle and suffer for them. Do you ever ask yourself, what do I want in life? And what answers do you get? A better job? No job? More money? Better relationships? Or perhaps the answer is that you do not know what you want. Well, I know what you want. You are no different from anyone else in this matter. What you want is not out there at all, really, although you may think that it is. A better job, more money, a great relationship, are all future possibilities that we think will bring us what? Why do we go after these things? Is it not in the pursuit of fulfillment, which is, of course, for us to find and feel a sense of purpose, power, enjoyment, or belonging? Please have a good look at this. The game of chasing what you want out there in the world, in the hope or belief of bringing fulfillment in the future, is the human way of living. It's pretty much the normal way of things in the world today, but it's essentially the wrong way around, and it will never deliver to you what you truly want, for one very simple reason. And that reason is this: you can never feel fulfilled in the future. You can never feel anything in the future, because you can only ever feel now. Is this the truth? Can you check, please? You have feeling in your body now, don't you? Go in and have a look. There is no future in this feeling, is there? It's all happening now. With regard to the future, you can only ever think about it, which is to project into the next moment, tomorrow, next week, or even 5 years from now. It is also possible for you to generate and attach a feeling to that projection. But when the reality of it comes, you can only ever feel it in the same way that you are feeling it now. The logic of this is indisputable. So is it any wonder that we drive ourselves crazy trying to make ourselves happy tomorrow? The human way of living is to live for tomorrow, because the human belief is to think that it is things outside of ourselves that bring us pleasure. For example, a new car, a bigger house, or a person to share our lives with. And so we need to secure these things to be happy. This is certainly true to a degree, but it is not the truth. Let me explain. It is true that the world outside of us, that is, all the events and happenings that occur for us, have an influence on how we feel. But it is also true, a greater yet lesser known truth, that how we feel actually influences what happens for us in our lives. This relationship is a bit like the chicken and the egg, which comes first. However, in this case it can be discovered that although the outer situation may affect the inner reality, it is actually the inner reality that creates the outer situation. This is the very essence of the spiritual life. It is the knowing that what we are within reflects outside of us as our life situation. So logically, the spiritual life is the creation of a good life through the ability to find and stay with a good feeling within. Some people live like this without necessarily having any awareness of it. Nonetheless, the value of it is that nobody or nothing can ever take this good life away from you, because you have found and know it within you. It is you, and is independent of any outer circumstance. If we live in a way that is dependent upon something or someone outside of us to provide our good feeling in life, then it is only a matter of time before it fails and we suffer as a result. This is because everything outside of us is going to change eventually. Nothing lasts forever. Nothing stays the same, no matter how much we hold on or hope that it will. The human way, with its narrow, upside-down view of living for tomorrow, will never serve you in the way that you long to be served, whereas the spiritual way will. I cannot prove this to you. You must do that for yourself. If you sense any truth or rightness in what I am saying, then you must trust and act upon it. Because the spiritual life is practical. It is not a theory or philosophy to be discussed and debated. It must be lived, the results experienced, and then you see and know the truth of it for yourself. The spiritual life is to live from the connection with a good feeling within. This feeling is the sensation of the presence of life or spirit in the cells of the entire body. The presence of this energy registers within us as a good feeling, which could be described as a feeling of ease, love, peace, power, joy, tingling, or delight. This sensation is the most natural state of being, and it is always there, always. It can't ever not be there, because it is the life source that makes and motivates the body. Can you check, please, to see if you have any of this sensation in your body now? Of course, this is not a mental process, is it? To check, you must use your attention to look within your body from head to toe and everywhere in between to see what is there. A useful tool to help you do this is to become very aware of your breathing. Breathe slowly and consciously. In and out. And with each out breath, sink a little deeper into your body, into this sensation we are talking about. As you have been listening, giving me your attention and being very present, there is a fair chance that you are feeling this good sensation right now. Or perhaps there is some kind of disturbance there, a discomfort, pressure, or pain. If there is, then just allow it to be there. Don't try to push it away or ignore it, but don't focus on it either. What it is and why it is there, we will look at later. But for now, be easy, relax and keep breathing. Look for some warmth, ease, or delight, which is always there in or behind or around any disturbance that you may feel. It is important that you keep your attention on the sensation as best you can, because the fact is that you are wherever your attention is. By focusing your attention on something, you affirm it, you give it power, and it becomes more real. Everything in life that you focus on with intent expands and becomes more real. It is most important, then, for you to focus on the pure sensation in your body as best you can. As you do, it will expand and dissolve or transmute any disturbance that is there. The spiritual life is to be this sensation of life in your body in every moment always. In this way, it is a state of being. To be it, first you must find it, and then stay with it. This is such a simple, rewarding, and intelligent way to be, and yet it is such a difficult thing to achieve in this world today. So why? What gets in the way? It's the mind, isn't it? It's the busy thinking mind and its relentless demand for your attention. This is what gets in the way always. Simply put, the mind is the only block to you living your full potential, because you cannot be the sensation that you are and be involved with this activity of mind at the same time. You just cannot do it. You might think that you can, but thinking is the mind in action, and so while you are thinking that you can, you are not. The mind, the human mind, and the ability to think, is a wonderful thing in its right place. The problem today is that it is no longer in its right place. Through its continual habitual thinking activity, the mind has actually become a power of its own accord, an impostor that takes over our lives and obscures the simple truth. We could call this imposter the ego. And the irony is that this ego-imposing presence thinks that it is in control of your life, whereas you, the real you, are out of control because of it. It is a sad and disturbing fact that this state of constant mind activity that supports the ego is accepted and encouraged as the normal way of being today. It is rarely questioned, and often it is even glorified as intellectual magnificence. Yet the truth is that any continuous stream of mind activity that is unable to be stopped at will is actually a state of madness. While ever it appears to serve us, it goes unnoticed. But a mind that cannot stop inevitably leads to worry, confusion, depression, and often self-destruction. Is it any wonder that mental health is one of the fastest growing areas of concern in society today? If your life is not working in any area, not working as a comprehensive whole, it is because the thinking mind is in control. And this mind, in and of itself, cannot ever make your life work in the way that you long for it to work. That is, what you long for is to be free of suffering, and to live a full and enjoyable life, isn't it? The thinker in your mind cannot ever deliver this to you, because it is not the truth of what you are, and does not have the overall power and capacity to do so. Only a mind in its right place can do this, a mind that is free of the compulsive thinker. The thinker in the mind, the ego, is the who that you think you are, and it is the driving force behind the human way of living. But you don't really want or need it in your life, unless of course you want a continuing life of restriction and suffering. The only way for you to rid yourself of it is to face it with the truth. And you must face it now, always now. When you are not being attentive in this way, the ego-thinking mind will sneak in and regain control. It will always try to take control, but as you continue to expose it to truth, it eventually loses the power to have any further effect in your life. Then you are free. The thinker cannot take over while we are being the truth of what we are, being present now, feeling the pure sensation in our bodies now. As we continue to do this, a shift begins to take place within us, and we begin to operate in an entirely different, yet somehow familiar way. We begin to use a different operating system, if you like, that of the one great intelligence that is life, as opposed to the narrow, separate, and inferior operating system of the thinking human mind. Does this make sense? Does any of this make sense to you? Please don't think about it. Put your attention on the sensation in your body and look. Is there a sense of truth or rightness about what you are hearing? I am not asking whether you believe or disbelieve me. Believing and disbelieving are again activities of the thinking mind, of measuring what you are hearing now against what you have heard before. Look and see. Don't think and analyze. The truth cannot ever be worked out in this way. To live the spiritual life is to be operating once again as a part of the one great spirit or intelligence that is life. Notice that I have said once again, because yes, we have been here before. It is the place from where we come and the place that we long to return. Spirit or intelligence is the only true reality. It is home to our being and the source of all things in existence. The human body is a creation of this spiritual intelligence, which expresses through each and every one of us as the unique beings that we are. This unique appearance in the world as who you are varies as a function of genetic differences, individual experiences, and our soul's purpose. But the intelligence behind this appearance is the same for all of us. And it is the same also for that of a bird, a tree, a dolphin, or even a handful of earth. Yes, intelligence is in everything. Nothing can be or exist without it, because it is the creative force behind the appearance of what we call matter, and matter is the substance of existence. The reason that we, as human beings, think that intelligence is something unique to our species only, is because we, unlike the rest of the animals and created forms, have the ability to reflect. This is what gives us an awareness of the world that we live in, and allows us to think, imagine, analyze, discriminate, dream, ideate, and project. All of this, of course, is a definition of what the mind is to us, and it is a very powerful tool. But the mind is still a function of intelligence, and cannot exist without it. So what's going on? How has it come about that we have this thinker in the mind that obscures the simple truth and the opportunity for us to live it? To help answer this question, we must go back to where the problem first arose. The mind, as we have just discovered, is a function of the intelligence that we are. It is the place where idea arises and forms to become creation. In its most pure state, the mind is universal, and there is virtually no distance between the formation of idea in this place and the appearance of it as existence or creation. Or another way to see it is that creation is simply the appearance of universal mind. The self-awareness that we have as human beings is the ability for us to reflect, through the senses of the body, upon this creation. We can see then that to reflect in this way is also to reflect upon the universal mind behind it. When humans first became self-aware, many thousands of years ago, the reality for us was this. What we observed of the world through the senses was in fact what we were within. There was no difference or distance between the two. For the individual, the realization and unshakable knowing of this state was, I am this world, and the world is what I am. Here we had discovered our ultimate creative potential, the power to manifest chosen realities as an immediate reflection of our intent. Consequently, there was a brief period in history where we actually lived on earth as very powerful beings of an apparently divine nature. This period has been captured and is reported to us today as the myths and legends of all cultures. But although we were very powerful, we had no knowledge or understanding of our human nature and the world that we found ourselves in. In a quest to understand it, that began in those early days and continues to this day, we began to identify with the created outside world through focusing our attention on it. As we did this, we began to energize the mind behind it in a way never known before. And as we continued to do this, the things that we focused on became more and more substantial in the mind, and they began to echo and gather within us to form a new kind of world of past or memory. So now, not only could we reflect on the world outside of us, we could also begin to reflect on this inner world of past or memory. And this is what gave and gives us our sense of self and the ability to think. Over the passing of time, we began to think more and more, using it as the powerful creative tool that placed us apart from and apparently above the rest of nature. Thinking allowed us the ability to work with the energy of the past and to rearrange it as idea or potential for the future. It is in this way that we started to take control of our lives and to dominate nature as we marched our way into civilization. There was, however, a flip side to this newfound thinking faculty, a flip side with very serious consequences that could in no way be seen at the time. what happened is that the more we gave our attention to the past and future by thinking, the stronger and more real our sense of self or identity became as beliefs about who we were. As energy continued to stream in and gather to substantiate this growing individual identity, it began to rise up and invade as a kind of autonomous false spirit with individual and collective power. This is, of course, the ego that we have been talking about so far. The more that we became involved with thinking, the more power we gave to the ego, and started to cut ourselves off from the present moment and the reality and vitality of it. It is in this way that we began to lose ourselves, and it is how we fell from grace. Grace being, of course, the vitality and nourishment of the present moment. We literally turned our back on it and drove out into the world in an effort to understand it through the power of thought. The temptation, however, to do this was an irresistible and virtually unavoidable dynamic in the evolution of our species. This is because it is in our nature to be inquisitive. It is a function of what we are as intelligence, and we like to explore new things. Also, in these first days of self-awareness, we had no idea of what we were getting involved in, because we had no experience of it. By the time that we had enough experience to sense that something was wrong, we were already too far gone. We had become trapped by the power of mind, and had no way of escaping its clutch, except through the inspired example of those who were beyond it. Such is the purpose and value of the true master throughout the ages. The effect of being isolated from the source of our being, the present moment, is most devastating to us. It is the root cause behind our suffering, and the origin of all emotion. Consider this. Picture, if you will, an image of the most beautiful environment you could ever imagine. Now feel that you are there. You are right in the midst of this magnificence, and it's fascinating to you. You are now compelled to look around, to see what this place is about. As you move around, you are amazed and delighted by what you experience. You feel so right, so you, so at home, and loved. But gradually, you begin to realize that something else is happening. Something very strange and most unexpected. The beauty and radiance that you were drawn to in the beginning is now shifting to reveal itself as a dark and uninviting presence. As you turn around to go home, you fail to see the path that led you to where you are, because it too has been enveloped by darkness. In that moment it hits you that you are trapped, and there is no apparent way out now, except to go further into the darkness. How do you think you might feel? How you would feel is the basic underlying emotion of the fallen, mind-absorbed state. Lost, scared, abandoned, fearful, and unloved. Because we are basically lost, absorbed in this place of mind, it is our innermost desire, either conscious or unconscious, to find our way back home. Yet with no clear direction, and the tendency anyway for us to look outside of ourselves for it, we have become very vulnerable and open to manipulation. The ego knows this and uses it to its own end and survival. But the ego can never take us back home, because home is the present moment, and to do so would destroy it. It can only live in terms of past, future, and belief, and therefore has no real interest in helping us at all, although it may appear to us that it does. And this is exactly what happens. One of the primary ways the ego sustains itself is to get us thinking and believing that something or someone will bring us what we need. So we embrace and uphold these beliefs, along with those we already have about who we are, and we then live our lives from this place. We get excited and anxious about future possibility, disappointed, regretful, or guilty about the past. We come up against others and their beliefs, and we agree or disagree with them. We are accepted or rejected. We get hurt, sad, or angry, feel jealous or inadequate. We become self-righteous, judgmental, corrupt, and on it goes. All of this, of course, belongs to the ego. It's got nothing to do with you, except you are the one who suffers. So much more can be said on this subject, and has, but really it is not that important for us to understand any more about the endless dynamics of ego, and in fact trying to understand them at the level of mind from where they are created only serves to complicate and strengthen the ego further. However, what is important to see is how the manipulative nature of ego obscures with its busyness of mind and emotion the true reality of our being. So to reveal our true nature again, which is what we are here to do, we must give up the tendency within us to identify with the past and future, because this is what fuels the ego and the human way of living. This means that you must not think or talk about the past or future any more than you really have to. In the end, there is absolutely no need for you to think or talk about it at all, because there isn't any real value in it. The past is over. The future is not yet real. By holding on to either, you only slow yourself down in life. When you are completely present in the moment, you get the value of the experience 100%. There is no need to hold on to it. The work is done in the moment, and you are a little changed because of it. But when you are not present, then you miss the true value of the moment, and there is a greater need then for you to go back and revisit it in your mind at a later time. Of course, while you are doing this, you miss the next moment, and so you must go back to revisit it as well. And this goes on, building up as a massive lag and burden on your being. The only way to avoid this is to keep your attention firmly grounded in the moment. As you do this, you connect or align yourself with universal intelligence, the truth of what you are. And because this moment is universally intelligent, it contains within it all the information required for you to do what is right in your life. I use the word right because when we come from this connection with the whole, we are acting within the context of the whole, and therefore serve the greater purpose of which we are a part. In this way it is right action. The information that is available to us through our ability to be present in the moment registers within us as an inner prompting to act. When we can learn to read and follow this prompting or guidance, we begin to function once again as a part of the whole organism of the earth, and this is how we discover our true purpose for being here in these times. What this is for you, only you can know and live. To live in this way, in every moment, is the pinnacle of living the spiritual life, or simply the height of being alive. It is here that we will discover and know our true relationship with the universe, which is this. What we get in life is given to us, and yet we create it of our own accord. This strange paradox, which is truly beyond any description possible, is the highest experience available to us as creative beings. It is a life of uninterrupted joy, where there is no longer a delay between what is desired and what is manifest. But we are not there yet. We must always start now, bringing our attention to the moment. From here we are tuned in to the intelligence of life and will be moved to act as best we can without doubt, hesitation or fear. This inner prompting is a call to action now. It is not a case of postponing the call to later on. Take hunger, for example. If you are hungry now, you feel and know it, and you are moved to action immediately. You don't say, "I'm hungry, so tomorrow or the next day I'll do something about it," do you? If you do, you will suffer. To act now with the inner promptings of our being is to act in a very pure way. Pure because it is immediate. There is no delay or time in it. When we live in this way, life becomes more timeless, which is the reality of spirit and the spiritual life. We are all familiar with the movement of pure action. When you are doing what you really love or enjoy to do, your action is very pure. You are being very present, very in the moment. Energy is moving through you uninterrupted by the mind, and you have a sense of timelessness. Have you noticed? It follows then that to do what you love doing is an ideal way of entering into the moment and living the spiritual life for that period. The mind, of course, will come up with all sorts of reasons why you can't do what you really enjoy doing. Like, for instance, you haven't got the time, you're not good enough, you're too tired, you can't afford it, you're worried about what others might think, it's irresponsible, and so on. But we already know that this is what we're up against, don't we? The mind is the only block and will challenge us all the way. Do what you love to do, because in the end, this is what the spiritual life is for you. It is your way of contributing your uniqueness to the world, so it makes sense to stop mucking about and get on with it, doesn't it? Of course, it is easier said than done. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it, and there would be more happiness in the world because of it. Nonetheless, there is no point, no value in it, unless it is done. Paying lip service only to truth or wisdom, as many people do, is not good enough. It must be lived. Do what you love to do, and when you are finished, take this feeling of timeless joy with you into the next moment. Or if you lose it, if something disturbs it, or if you don't know what you love to do in the first place, then be still. Always stop and be still as soon as you can when you lose your way. There is a place for you, and you will know it when you are still enough to see through the turmoil of thought and emotion that masks it. From time to time, you may have brief or extended moments of clarity and knowing, where your life just flows, and you are delighted and humbled by the magnificence and mystery of it all. And then it's gone. Why is this so? What's going on? There are two reasons why this occurs. First, the ego will always want to identify with and attach to something. That's the only way it can continue to survive. So with something that is pleasing to us, like uplifted states and the awareness that accompanies them, the ego gets all excited and wants to make something of it. It will want to try and hold the experience, to recreate it later on, or to project an image about what it might mean for you in the future. Either way, you are once again lured out of the moment, and as we have learned, it is only a matter of time before you suffer. The second reason why we experience an ease and flow, and then in the next moment it's gone, is because when we begin to be more responsible for our lives, we are bringing the truth forward. The purity of this energy then disturbs what is not true within us, all the beliefs and buried emotions that have gathered there over time through our lack of presence. As this happens, we experience all sorts of emotional and psychological pains in the body. It is important to know this, because when it happens, you will want to doubt yourself and everything that you are doing. Yet it is unavoidable that this happen as we come into the moment. Unavoidable. So when it does, start again. Stop and steady yourself as soon as you can. Be still. Don't resist what is happening, but don't let it take you over either. Feel for the good sensation that is always there somewhere, and keep your attention with it as best you can. At times this requires great discipline. The strength of emotion and crazy thought that arises in us from time to time can be so powerful and overwhelming that the last thing you feel like doing, or can actually manage to do, is to be still. But the sooner you can, the sooner you will be free. Live your life, and be as present as you can in everything that you do. If you have to do things that you do not enjoy, then be responsible for the situation. Don't whinge and complain and blame. Accept the moment as it is, without trying to change it. It will change in its own time. Everything does. But we must accept the moment as it is right now. Otherwise we do battle with it, and this gets us nowhere worthwhile going. To not accept the situation as it is right now is actually to deny your own creative power, because you are the creator of your life. It is you that has created the situation that you are in, albeit unconsciously and through the many filters of ego. But nonetheless, to deny it is only to disempower yourself as the creative potential that you are. To not be responsible for your life situation is to suggest that something or someone else is, and therefore they are to blame. To behave in this way, however, is to jump straight back on the merry-go-round of suffering for a few more rounds. This kind of behaviour contributes nothing to the greater good, and it will never bring to you the things that you most long for in life. If you cannot take responsibility for your own life, then you will be forced to whinge and complain, blame and accuse, or even perhaps to gossip about the lives of others. This is how the ego releases the pressure of not being responsible for what it is doing, and once again it gets you nowhere, except only to feed the ego, poison the earth, and make life a little duller for everyone on it. To accept the situation of your life as it is, no matter how ugly, painful, or not your fault it may seem, is to take responsibility for it, and then energy can begin to flow intelligently once again, and the situation can then change. To the degree that you can do this, and to the degree that you can actually turn it right around and give thanks for it, you begin to reclaim your true power, and life can then serve you in a way that you will be most truly thankful for. To be able to give thanks for what you have in life is a very powerful way of staying present in the moment. This is because true thanks, which is gratitude, can only ever be offered up in the moment. Gratitude is the receipt and acknowledgement of providence. Without it, the energy of spirit cannot flow, and we cannot stay present for long. If you cannot be grateful for what you have in life, then it's time to do something about it. And if you don't know what to do, then be still and find the inner guidance that will show you the way. Or, if you must use your mind, use it intelligently and ask yourself, why? Why am I doing what does not give me pleasure? If you do not enjoy what you are doing, then why are you doing it? In your quest to live a fulfilling life, how can you if you continually do things that you do not enjoy? Be serious, please. It's your life, and it's up to you, not somebody else, to take the responsibility for it. And that responsibility starts now, which in the first place is to feel the presence of life in your body now. Are you in your body now? Let's go in and have another look. Bring your attention to your breath and focus on it for a while, drawing air deeply and consciously into the diaphragm and exhaling fully. The belly moves in and out as you breathe, not the chest. Feel the air flow in and out of the nostrils. With each out-breath, sink down into the body, all the way to the toes. Look for some sensation in your toes. Can you feel it? Let it now move into your feet. When you can feel that, allow it to flow up your legs like warm liquid and into the calves. Feel the sensation. And now, through the knees and up into the thighs. All the time feeling from where we started in the toes. And now, into the buttocks. Feel the warmth or tingling as you move your attention into this area and allow it to be there. Now the genitals. Feel the sensation there and breathe slowly, consciously. Now let the sensation spread to the torso, moving up from the hips, through the abdomen, the chest, and into the shoulders. You can now feel the life pulsing in your body, all the way from your toes to your shoulders. Let it now move down your arms to the fingertips, and they come alive as your attention arrives there. And now back up the arms. Feel the arms. And now into the neck. A vibration ever so fine. Now the head, the cheeks, ears, nose, lips, and now the toes. Feel your entire body now, from top to bottom and everywhere in between. You are completely in it. It's buzzing, vibrating with life. Just feel the sensation. Now wiggle your toes a little, and your fingers, but don't lose the inner connection. We are starting to come out, but stay within as we come out. Now become aware of what you can hear, but don't define it. Just observe the sounds as they enter through your ears. Breathe. Feel. Listen. Wiggle your toes and fingers, or move the body gently, but don't lose the inner sensation as you move. With your attention now grounded firmly in the sensation of your body, open your eyes. Information flows in through the eyes, just as it does through the ears, and joins with the sensation in your body to form the whole of your being. Still. present, awake. This is the truth of what you are.